gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 251 of the podcast. And first and foremost, I'd like to ask every single one of you, how are you guys doing? I'm hoping everyone had a great to amazing week. If you did not, have no fear. You have another week to get yourself situated and fix that, whatever didn't go right last week. Whether it's not taking care of an errand or not taking care of a problem, or just simply you couldn't find a Halloween costume because Halloween is, I want to say this upcoming weekend. Don't worry about it. You have another chance to go find whatever you can find. But for Halloween, I'll say you're basically at the scraps because you're at the end of it now. We're at the end of October now. This is the final week of October. We're about to move into November. So again, with the Halloween plans, coming together, you're at the scraps for Halloween costumes. I just say if you're into Halloween, I just say just go out, whatever you have at your home, just make something there and just go out and go to all these costume parties. I know this past weekend, people were having costume parties and people wanted to just ingratiate with one another. But Halloween, I want to say, is this upcoming weekend. So again, for the people that's going to do it on the official upcoming weekend of Halloween, I'll say just be careful out there, be safe, and enjoy yourself. And also, if you're taking your kids trick-or-treating officially this upcoming week, I know certain people have done it already, but if you're going to do it this week and do the traditional trick-or-treating, knocking on people's doors, please be careful. Because people are weird. People are more, I'll say, weirder now than before. But just be aware of the candies or all these other different things that they're going to be giving to your children. Okay? Because again, people have been creative and people have accidentally given kids some treats that were laced with drugs, and I have a feeling they don't mean to do so. I mean, they might have just picked up the wrong thing, and again, not thinking so much, they just handed it out. But certain snacks, certain candies are now laced with drugs, and they have colorful packaging. And again, certain adults not thinking, they just hand it off to the kids. Certain people do it on purpose, but just be aware of your kids' candy and all that type of stuff, and be aware of the houses that your kids are going to go trick-or-treating if they go by themselves. But other than that, I do want people to be safe. I want people to be careful this week. And also, as I've been saying on a regular basis when I talk on Sunday, please do not add more stress to your life. People are already stressing out because of a government shutdown, because of not receiving a check without, in certain states, knowing they're not going to have their SNAP benefits. People are stressing out now more than ever. I don't want people to add more stress to their life. I don't want people to be so overwhelmed with stress that stress starts to take you out. And stress is a silent killer. It affects you mentally, and it would affect you mentally, can affect you physically. And guess what? That sends you one more step to the grave. And I don't want that for people. So please do not add more stress to your life. Only take care of your stress. And when you do so, manage the stress. If you know you can't do one thing until the next day, don't worry about that one thing. Take care of what you can take care of, and then handle that the next day. Don't try to, again, overwhelm yourself with a task or tasks on one day. Spread them out. But again, don't stress yourself out so much. I want everyone to have a great to amazing week. So that's just me, once again, just letting that be known like I do every Sunday. Please do not stress yourself out. Please do not take on anybody else's stress. Handle yours and just try to be okay. Now, with that stated, now it's time for me to move over to the National Food Days of the Week. Today, being October 26th, it is Pumpkin Day as well as Mince Meat Day. October 27th, it is American Beer Day as well as Potato Day, so please drink responsibly. October 28th, Chocolate Day. October 29th, Oatmeal Day. October 30th, Candy Corn Day. October 31st, which is the final day of October, it is Candy Apple Day. Then we move over to November 1st, which will round us out, which is on a Saturday. It is Vinegar Day and Pate Day. So with that said, that's your national food days of the week. And with that, now it's time for me to move over to some topics that I do want to at least make mention of before I get over into the American topics. So this is more the international flair here. I want to talk about Japan having its first ever female prime minister. It happened this week. The woman's name is Sonya Massey. She is 64. NBC News would write up an article about it. She is the new leader of the governing Liberal Democratic Party, was elected by lawmakers in the lower house of parliament by a vote of 237 to 149 over her closest rival, the leader of the liberal opposition Constitutional Democratic Party. She was also elected by upper house lawmakers in a second vote of 125 to 46 after falling one vote shy of a majority in the first round. So Japan has their first ever female prime minister. That's something. I'm going to say congratulations to her. I know certain people, as I read this article, they were saying that just because Japan has their first ever female prime minister, that doesn't mean it's becoming a progressive type of country. Because when you think of progressive, you think of changing what's been happening beforehand. Like all of Japan's former prime ministers were dudes. So now with her being the first, you think that change is going to come around the corner. People, and more specifically women, are more than likely going to be able to do other things and capitalize on other things because of this big landmark victory for women in general. But people don't see that. People are saying that she is not going to be technically taking a big step for women or other groups in Japan. In this article that ABC would write up, they would say that she opposes same-sex marriage and favors keeping succession to men only in Japan. So that already right there gives people red flags for saying, yes, she's the first female prime minister of Japan, but that doesn't make big waves for women. Me, I'm not a female and I don't live in Japan, so I don't know about that. I could just say, just reading the article, seeing the headline, I would say, again, congratulations to her. And it does kind of open up some doors for females, at least over there in Japan. I mean, yeah, sure, you got to make some deals with certain people that you might not like, just like you do in your everyday life, but more specifically in politics. But with her being the first female prime minister, I think it does open up the doors. I think just because she doesn't agree with same-sex marriage and she wants to keep succession to men doesn't mean that the women that will be coming after her or trying to take the position after her can't change that. So for her opening up the door, you can appreciate her to do this. It doesn't mean you have to like her, but you do have to at least appreciate that she is the first woman to do so. And it does give other women at least the mindset and the thought process to say, if she can do it, I can do it. And when I get there, I can make things better. So again, I don't know too much about Japan's government or how they work it over there. I'm not going to try to pretend like I do, but just reading this article, seeing the headline for it, again, you do got to give this woman at least a nice round of applause for being the first, again, female prime minister in Japan's government. So again, congratulations to Sonya Massey, and let's see what happens there. I know she's supposed to be like having a meeting with Trump. They said that she's supposed to be meeting with her, or he's supposed to be meeting with her. They say in this article next week. So by the time they drop that article, I think it's this upcoming week, President Trump's supposed to be meeting with her. Let's just see that hopefully Japan and U.S. still keeps this allyship, but time will tell with that. If something bad comes up about it, best believe you'll hear about it on this broadcast, and I'll tell you what's up. Now, moving off of that, over into a robbery that happened over in Paris. There was a robbery at a museum where you had, within the span of 7 minutes, last Sunday, 4 people stole 9 pieces of France's crown jewels from the Louvre. They robbed not just the most visited museum in the world, but also the French people themselves, the government said Monday. They said this heist rushed corridors with a speed and ease that humiliated a nation. So now you got the authorities looking for these pieces of jewelry, and they will say in the articles that the thieves used a truck mounted with a basket lift, commonly used to hoist furniture into Paris's inaccessible apartment blocks. They parked it outside the Renaissance Palace, rode to the balcony outside, and sliced through the window with cutting tools, according to officials. Now, this all happened during the daytime, so they went in, they threatened museum staff, and then they just took pieces of jewelry out of this museum. I'm not mad at this. Museums, to me, when you look at it, especially whenever they have like high priced jewelry, things of historical meanings. How do I say this without sounding like a prick? When you see a museum and they talk about jewelry or, as I said, high priced crowns from former empires or former royal families, I've seen too many movies, documentaries, television shows talk about how some of these royal families gotten their jewels, and they gotten their jewels from other places that they've colonialized and just took things from. Matter of fact, that was the thing that happened with Queen Elizabeth that passed away. People were saying that they want their jewels back from her crown. I do remember that. So whenever I heard about this museum getting broken into and the thieves stealing jewelry from, as they mentioned, royal families that are no longer there, I'm not mad at that completely. Now, is crime supposed to be this way? No, you're not supposed to be committing crime at all. But whenever you have something like this, where if you're going to have a museum, you don't place the actual, real, authentic stuff in it. You get some high-priced, fancy replicas to the real thing. I think that's what should happen now with museums, especially when you have people constantly stealing art pieces, people trying to damage art pieces, people trying to, in this case, steal jewelry that they want to preserve because of historical facts. There's no way the government can't find a way to find someone that can create highly detailed, crafted replicas of a crown or what you're trying to present to the people. Highly detailed and replicated art pieces. There's no way you can't tell me someone isn't out there able to do that right now. You could pay them a nice subset of money just so they can do it and make sure they never ever tell no one that they did this, because again, you got to get the illusion that the people are coming to see the actual genuine thing. But with as much art pieces and theft going around in the museums, you got to be smarter than this. You at least got to be. And for these guys right now, or gals, because again, there's 4 people that they would say it's 4 people that they did this. They have no idea who did it right now, and they're still trying to find the pieces of jewelry. I'm not mad at them for doing it, because museums got to be smarter. People got to be smarter in general with what they do with these museum pieces. And I don't think they're going to find them. I don't think they're going to find the people. I don't think they're going to find the jewels, because it's almost been a week. By the time I'm recording this, it's almost been a week, and the authorities are still looking for them. They even said in said article that I read that that they determined that the authorities have a week. And if they don't find it within that week, it's going to be a lost cause. The people that stole the jewels, they probably already broken it down, try to cut some of the diamonds, melt down the silver and gold, because the pieces that they stole is going to be too hot. You can't sell those things off. You're not going to be able to. So they're going to try to have to find a different way to do it. So if they find it, cool, but I highly doubt it. But this should be an eye-opener for all museums. I don't care if you're in the United States. I don't care if you're in France. I don't care if you're in Italy. Any museum out there that has historically important jewelry, jewels, or anything like that, you have to find someone that can replicate these things. You have to, because if not, people are going to become more emboldened to steal the genuine articles, and you're going to be crap out of luck. That's the only thing I can say for these museums. But yeah, that's what happened here last Sunday again. This was the situation that happened at the Louvre Museum. So if they can find them, good luck, but I highly doubt it. Next up is an update. I mentioned last week about a Picasso painting that was supposed to be part of this 58-piece moving museum or exhibition that was supposed to go to another museum. And this Picasso piece was not a part of that 58 pieces that was moved. At first, they thought that it was stolen. I thought it was stolen because of the way they talked about it, but no. Simply, the art piece never made it onto the van in the first place. The Guardian would write up the article about it, saying that officers from Spain began searching for the piece after it failed to arrive on a van that brought that piece, or was supposed to bring that piece with all the other art pieces to another museum. They say sources close to the investigation says that the painting was never even left the building, which it was supposed to be shipped for display. According to the sources, the transport company left the package in the doorway of a building in Madrid. It was then picked up by a neighbor who thought it was someone's forgotten delivery and took it in for safekeeping. Days later, after her husband mentioned the missing Picasso, she checked the package and called the police. So you had a good person with a good heart decided to call it in. Now, congratulations for her, and congratulations to the people out there that got their art piece back and able to continue on with their collection of showing off art pieces. But this right here, I hope that woman got something. I hope she was able to get some money. I hope that they were able to give her something of value, because that art piece was worth 600,000 euros. Okay? And that's a lot of money. I just hope that she was given something. 1,000 euros, 5,000 euros, something. Because she could have kept that painting in her house. She could have kept that painting in her house. The husband could have tried to persuade her not to say nothing. And I don't think the police would have ever gotten it to her, or would have trailed back to her. I think it would have took them some time, and even then, they would have been able to play it off by that point. But that didn't happen. So again, this piece of art has been restored, got back to the other collection pieces. Congratulations to them in Spain. But I hope that woman and her husband did get something, because if not, I would be highly pissed. Highly. But that's all the international news, technically, that I do have to bring towards you guys. Now, with that, I do want to move over into things that happened in America this week. First things first, I want to talk about Hurricane Melissa that is supposedly supposed to be hitting the Caribbeans this week. They're saying that forecasters said the hurricane is expected to potentially power up to a category 4 or 5 with winds over 150 miles per hour. They said the storm hit 75 miles per hour winds to attain hurricane status Saturday afternoon. The National Hurricane Center said a tropical storm becomes a hurricane when the wind reaches 74 miles per hour. Okay, cool. Melissa is set to become a major hurricane before the end of the weekend. So it's supposed to be hitting Haiti, Jamaica, and Cuba. That's where they're saying the thing is supposed to hit. A principal director of Jamaica's meteorologist service said he anticipated the hurricane will be catastrophic when it makes landfall, likely on Tuesday, October 28th. So, ladies and gentlemen, please just say a quick prayer to the people over there on the Caribbean islands, making sure and hoping sure that this hurricane does start to level out by this time. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad for those islands, because whenever a hurricane or any type of national disaster hits the islands, it's always bad for them. And I mean, it's bad. Whenever their electricity's out, they need just a lot of services to them. And it always takes, at least in the reporting of the news wise, it takes them weeks to get back electricity. And sometimes some people's houses will get hit with water damage or just complete destruction. I don't want that. I'm hoping that these people in Haiti, Jamaica, and Cuba don't get it that bad. I know there's going to be a storm, hurricane. I just hope that it isn't that bad. That, again, a lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of destruction to people's homes, property, all that type of stuff. I'm hoping that that's not the case. So please say a prayer for them, as a hurricane Hurricane Melissa is headed towards their way. So again, please just say a prayer for them, all right? Moving off of that, another sad story that I do have to make mention to you guys. This is coming from The Guardian. They would say an article, at least 4 people shot near Howard University, Washington police say. A shooting near Howard University left at least 4 people shot. Police in Washington, D.C. said the shooting happened as thousands descended on the campus for homecoming celebrations. Police responded to the shots being fired at 8:23 on the 600 block of Howard Place, near the university's yard and School of Architecture building. Police said the shooting left 1 person in critical condition and 1 person in serious condition. Police have not confirmed whether a suspect or suspects were apprehended. A D.C. Emergency Services spokesperson said 7 people were treated with injuries, 4 of whom had been shot. D.C. Traffic Police confirmed the shooting investigation in a social media post detailing the road closures. Police confirmed in a separate social media post that the scene was secure. So that's what's going down over at Howard University, and that's all the information that I do have at my eyesight right now. So again, say another prayer for people out there over at Howard. And this is why I can't mess around with people, man. I don't like going out to events, and this is the reason why, because shootings are happening, and it's becoming now more apparent because I believe I just talked about it. If it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago. Mississippi having some not school shootings, but some shootings at a football game. And I believe for that, it was another homecoming. And it's just wicked. That's the only thing I can say for this. It's wicked. I don't like people being stupid. I understand that certain people want to keep their peace on them, which, hey, if you're in America, that's kind of become a thing where you got to keep it on you, at least in this current administration. Past administrations, I would say you don't need to do that. But with things happening the way that it is now, not just because of this administration does play a part in it, but the way the world is going, the way the society is going, you at least do need to have a piece on you. If you're going to also have a gun, you do need to be mentally stable. You can't be someone that's just wanted to pull the trigger whenever you're upset at someone or someone tests you. That's not the thing. You don't need to be doing that. You only whip out your gun whenever something is a serious matter, a a life or death situation, you don't do it over stupid things. And I think homecomings are stupid things for people to get shot at, because people are going to be talking smack towards one another. Certain people haven't seen each other in some time, and this is the time, a perfect place to meet up. And just imagine, you haven't seen someone in years. You haven't dealt with some of the past problems that you guys probably did deal with, and now with homecoming occurring, you're able to go there. You see this person that you haven't solve your resolutions or conflicts with, and now you try to make a resolution, try to resolve it, past traumas or anything, and one thing leads to another, something happens. And again, man, it's just so stupid. I hate it, and that's the reason why I don't like going out to these social events. But I don't ever wish that for people out there, because people do like to be around other individuals. People like to be around people, and that's just not for me. But I don't want people to be scared off from doing that. I just want people to be safe. I want people to not worry for their life or whether they're going to be able to come home after a homecoming. Think about it. A homecoming, dude. The name is friendly. Homecoming. It's a friendly name. So it's supposed to be a friendly style of event, but recently it just hasn't been, because there's been casualties, and I want that to change. But again, with society being the way that it is, I don't see it. So if more information, no, not if, but when more information comes out about these Howard shootings, I will bring it back to this broadcast and let you guys know what's going down. Now, moving off of that, it's time to go into government. So with me saying that, now it's time for me to give this little transition. The thoughts and opinion that you're about to hear comes from G2. Nobody else. My thoughts are mine and mine only. I do not have a Republican or Democratic mindset. This podcast is not a Democratic, Republican leaning podcast. Anything that you do here comes directly from me. I don't want people to think that this podcast is trying to push any political agenda. I just want to tell you guys my thoughts and my opinions on things that's happening in the government. And I want to let you guys just hear it, and you guys will, well, think for yourselves. That's the only thing that I am doing whenever I have to talk about government, all right? So with that little speech out the way, let me talk about government here. Associated Press will write up an article saying that the Pentagon accepts $130 million donation to help pay the military during the government shutdown. In an article, it will read, the Pentagon confirmed Friday that it accepted an anonymous $130 million gift to help pay members of the military during the government shutdown, raising ethical questions after President Donald Trump had announced that a friend had offered the gift to defray any shortfalls. While large and unusual, the gift amounts to a small contribution towards the billions needed to cover service members' paychecks. The Trump administration told Congress last week that it used $6.5 billion to make payroll. The next payday is coming within the week, and it is unclear if the administration will again move around money to ensure the military does not go without compensation. Now, that was an article, again, that the Associated Press would write up and confirmed on Friday. Another article would come out from the Independent, and they will say that they know the name of the mystery donor, and they will say that the mystery donor is Timothy Mellon. They will say this is a billionaire who has donated tens of millions of dollars to support Trump's campaigns in the past. He is a railroad magnate and heir to a prominent banking and political family, has not publicly claimed a role in any donation. President Trump revealed the anonymous donation Thursday, describing it as coming from a friend and patriot. He doesn't want any recognition, Trump said at a roundtable event. So that's what's going on right there. The Independent did try to contact Mellon, and emails associated with Mellon due to public records for a comment. They did not get a comment back. The White House and Pentagon declined to comment on it as well, but that's who they are trying to put the name, well, face and name to the $130 million donation. I'm going to say this right now. If he did do it, didn't do it. I'm happy that the military is getting paid. Let me make that perfectly clear. I'm happy that the military is getting paid in this government shutdown. I still think that having a government shutdown and not paying people is trash. I think, again, I've said this countless of times, and any time that I cover a government shutdown, and it's not just during Trump's reign, I did this during the Biden reign as well. I've said that the people at the top, the people that are making the decisions of whether a deal is going to be made or not, your elected officials that's up there that are still getting paid, I've said that they shouldn't be getting paid. I think a lot of people are coming to that thought process, and I'm hoping that that's going to pass. I'm hoping that that happens. I'm hoping that the people at the top don't get paid if the government shuts down. But the military, I'm happy that they're getting paid. I'm happy that they're going to get paid. I do hope that the other workers, your TSA workers, your people in other industries that aren't getting paid as well, I'm hoping that they get paid. I'm hoping that everyone gets paid. Personally, I'm hoping that this government shutdown ends so everyone can get paid again. And I'm hoping that they get back pay. But one could dream about it. But yeah, we're on our 20th something day of government shutdown, and it's sickening when you think about it. People have lost their jobs. People are going to continue to lose their jobs. People are working and not getting paid, knowing that they're not going to get paid right now. That's still just crazy to me. And some of them have to get a second job. Like what? Someone talked about how they have a regular government job, and then on the side they have to do DoorDash or Uber. This came up during like the Stephen A. Panel talk that he did with other politicians last week. And it's just crazy how politicians are getting paid, and the regular 9-to-5ers, the regular workers, the people that actually have to vote to make these politicians get in these spots and be the voice for them, they're not getting paid. But your politician is. During the government shutdown. Again, that's nuts. That's nutty. I do hope that they do change that. Because again, it's just like, to me, a government shutdown, knowing that you guys, the 9-to-5ers, the guys that are breaking their backs every single day, aren't going to get paid, while the people at the top that just argue and decide whether they want to pass a bill or not, they continue to get paid. I made the comparison like when people go to war, like your generals and all that. The generals and your leaders, they decide if we're going to go to war or not, but they don't ever hit the battle. Old times, I'm talking about way old times. They used to. The people that decided they're going to war, they used to be at those battle sites. They used to be on, not going to say the front lines, because they were never ever like the first line of duty people. They were never ever that. But they were there to at least fight with their comrades, be on the battlefield and see them like that. Now, no. Your generals, your people that decided if we're going to go to war with another country, they are on home base. They are in a building. They talk and say, hey, send this section over there, send that section there. They don't ever hit the battle site ever. While you guys, the workers, which in my example will be the front line, you guys are given a mission to go there and battle, and it doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not. That's a part of your job, and you go there off the word of someone else. That would piss me off. If I didn't agree to this war, I'm just here to serve my country, great and all, and I know that this war is meaningless. I know that this war is bogus, and what we're about to do is garbage. I would have a complete beef with it. Like the people that are working in the government because they don't want to leave their people high and dry. They aren't getting paid, but they're still doing a job. This is bogus. It's completely bogus. So, again, I do hope that the government does reopen back up. And for future references, I do hope that the regular 9-to-5ers, your people that aren't getting paid, I'm hoping that people come together. It doesn't matter whether you are Republican or Democrat. I want it to go through your thick skulls. Those political party things doesn't matter at the end of the day with that. What matters at the end of the day is whether you can pay your bills. Can you pay them? Can you keep the light on? Can you keep the heat on your home? Can you keep food on your table? Again, government shutdown meaning SNAP as well. EBTs, all that's being cut because people can't, the government can't sustain that. Your states can't sustain a government shutdown and giving you guys EBT SNAP cards. They can't do it. They say they quote unquote running out of money, but I call BS on that. But again, that's just my thoughts on that. You guys, the regular 9-to-5ers, the workers, all this and that, you guys are going to be going without money to pay your bills. And now you're about to be going without food. So you and your family are about to go starving, which will lead to people more than likely committing a lot of crime. And I hate that that's going to be the case, but I know it's going to be the case if this government doesn't open up before October or even during October. Because again, October is the time where people start November. Excuse me. November is the time where people start doing Thanksgiving. People already start trying to grab supplies and all that stuff for Thanksgiving that they usually do, a tradition, the meals and all that. People start doing that because it's Thanksgiving, holiday time, family and friends come together, meet, eat, give thanks, all that type of stuff. And even during Thanksgiving as well, people start trying to do their Christmas shopping as well, because Christmas will quickly show up as quick as November, as you're in November. Christmas will start creeping up on you real quick, and as soon as you know you're in November, snap of our fingers, you're in December, Christmas time, kids, loved ones, all that, Christmas gifts. And if you have no money, guess what? You can't do none of that. And you'll just be pissed because guess what? You have social media. And what happens on social media? People do what they do best. People showboat their Thanksgiving meals, their Thanksgiving traditions that they have with their family. You not having no food on the table, you not having none of that. You're seeing all that. You're going to be pissed. And then when Christmas time rolls around, it's going to be the exact same thing. You're going to be seeing people show off what their kids and what they were able to give to their spouses, and you sitting there on your phone with your family right beside you, not having any type of Christmas gifts, not having a good decoration, not having none of the stuff that you usually have because of government shutdown. You're going to become more pissed because you're going to already think that we just went through November, didn't have Thanksgiving properly in my home. Now I'm in December and I'm not having Christmas properly in my home. People are going to start thinking about doing other things, in which mean crime is going to be coming about. And I don't want that. I don't. Because a lot of people will then start playing the whole, it's the Democrats' fault, Republicans' fault. Yo, y'all got to figure out something. You guys at the top politicians, top brass, y'all got to figure that out. Y'all got to start making some compromises. Because if not, mark my words, crime is going to be afoot, and crime is going to be afoot really, really bad. And I want to say this. I don't want the crime to happen to everyday people. I don't. I want it to happen to you guys, the politicians. I want the regular people to come together to start going after your guys' homes, like TPing it, throwing eggs at it, throwing eggs at your cars, and all that type of stuff. Not do anything harmful that can hurt you. Because again, one, I don't want to be sued for that. I'm going to make it blunt reason why I'm saying this. I don't want to be sued. And two, I don't want to be on blacklisted. I don't want to be a person that people will start looking for me and all that. No. Let me make this perfectly clear. Because people will take my words and try to twist it. I'm making it blunt and crystal clear that you can't try to change up and flip it in any circumstance. If the government shutdown continues to happen, I want regular 9-to-5ers. I want the government workers to come together. It doesn't matter what freaking political party you're on. Come together, and I want you to egg your senators' houses, egg your senators, your governors, your mayors, all their houses. Do something that is vandalism, not something that can cause them extreme harm, but give them some type of vandalism, because you're not going to go to jail for harming them. Yes, it's a nuisance for them, because then they have to clean their homes or hire someone to clean their homes for them. But you're not hurting them, okay? And I don't want people to hurt these people, because they still got a job at the end of the day. Because if they get hurt, you might replace them with someone that's worse than them. Don't hurt them. Just scare them a little bit to let them know the people aren't playing. People want this thing to end. That's what I am hoping for before we get to the other step. And again, people will take it a step further, and people will try to hurt some of these people. In which, again, I do not want that to happen. But we live in a realistic world, and that can happen. So, people at the top, please get this government shut down together, get it fixed before bad things happen to you guys. Because if me, a guy that's just watching on the outside, can determine and know what's about to happen, you guys on the inside, the guys that is making the laws, the guys that's making the bills, saying what's going to pass and what's not going to pass, you guys see it. You guys don't care to see it, but you see it. Acknowledge it, and please don't be stupid. That's the only thing I do ask for all of you guys, please, in this government shutdown. But to round us back again, I am happy that the military is going to get paid, though. Congrats to you guys. And, oh yeah, one more thing before I do get off politics, though. I talked about it on my Wednesday episode, the midweek breakdown, how Trump is demolishing, I believe, the East Wing to make a ballroom for the White House. And originally, it was supposed to be $250 million for this. Now, it jumped up another $100 million. It has been reported that it's going to be $350 million. So, yeah, I stand on what I said earlier with my Wednesday episode. If you didn't listen to it, go check it out, but I'll just make it brief. I said that the president is not reading the room. Whoever agreed to this and then pushed back, they're not reading the room, because, again, government shut down, people aren't getting paid, but you're making a ballroom for the White House. $350 million now for that. That's disgusting. That's nasty. I think, again, I don't care what party you're on. You guys should be fighting that. You guys should be saying that should not be happening. But apparently, Republicans are on their knees taking it. That's nasty. Get off your knees. Get up. Fight back. I understand there's some underworkings behind the scenes, but you guys got to talk. You guys got to at least try to come together and align and say, yo, dog, we at least got to fight back on some of this stuff, because this is unnecessary. $350 million for a ballroom in the White House. Nasty work, nasty business. But hey, we are in this time right now. Real crazy time, bro. Real crazy time. Now, moving off of government, now it's time for me to talk about news outside of government here. I want to talk about this because this is something I did not know about in the slightest. People magazine would write up saying the cause of death was in school after she received harassing calls. Authorities in Pennsylvania have released the cause and manner of death for Kada Scott, whose remains were discovered in a wooded area 2 weeks after she disappeared. Scott, 23, disappeared from her workplace in Pennsylvania on October 4th, police previously said. Keon King, 21, was arrested on October 15th and has since been charged with several offenses, including murder and arson, according to the Pennsylvania District Attorney's Office. Officials from the Pennsylvania Medical Examiner's Office say they have now determined how Scott died and that the manner of her death was homicide. Scott died from a gunshot wound to the head, the medical examiner's office confirmed on Thursday, per NBC 10, ABC 6, and Fox 29. Her date of death is listed as October 18th. However, officials initially alleged she was killed shortly after she met with King on the evening she disappeared, per NBC 10 and Fox 29. People were unable to independently verify the exact date of death, as the medical examiner's office did not respond to requests for information. Scott vanished after she was subject to harassing phone calls in the days leading up to her disappearance, Pennsylvania police previously told People. When inquired during the early stages of the investigation, police declined to comment on whether King is connected to the phone calls. Authorities did not elaborate on the nature of the relationship between Scott and King, but previously said they briefly knew each other. Court documents obtained by Fox 29 show the two had been texting and had plans to meet up the evening she disappeared. As the investigation into King's kidnapping accusation unfolded, authorities learned about additional alleged victims. King had previously been charged with kidnapping and strangulation stemming from a domestic incident earlier this year, the Pennsylvania Assistant District Attorney said following his arrest. Those charges were withdrawn when the alleged victim did not show up in court, but prosecutors have since said they would refile those charges. Other alleged victims of King have also come forward in cases that never resulted in his arrest, according to the Pennsylvania District Attorney. So that's what's going on right now with this. First and foremost, rest in peace to Miss Scott, Kada Scott. I don't know what, again, this is a real nasty world we're living in, man. I did not know anything about this at all. This is nasty. Let's just go off of what they've said so far. They don't know the relationship of Miss Scott and King on King. They don't know the relationship of those two. But if I were to take a guess at it, they were probably almost on a dating situation. That's what I will say, because a 23-year-old and Miss Scott and King is 21. That kind of already sets off the maybe trying to date one another situation, or they were going on a date, or they had some previous I would say conversations with one another. That's the only way I can think of it. Because I don't think just a random dude would just do this to a female. Now, I could be wrong, because again, I'm not a female. I can't talk about a female's day-to-day life and how many times they might get catcalled or pursued by another guy that the female might not be into, and the dude might try to stalk her or whatever the case may be just because she's pretty or something. Again, I don't know. I'm not a female, not my life. But I've been in some rooms where females do talk about those type of situations that I just mentioned. I don't know if this situation was that or not. I'm just going off of what we have here, and I'm just throwing out a theory. For her to die from a gunshot to the head, that means that was a personal type of ending of her life. Because if you would have said that she got shot in the arm or shot in the leg or something like that, I would just not think about it like that. But for someone to get shot in the head or shot in the throat, those are typical things for me to think, oh no, this was personal. This was a personal type of attack. And for me, again, a gunshot to the head, that's personal. Multiple gunshot wounds, that's personal as well. But in this, they listed head. That's just nasty. And for him to be arrested again for murder and abuse of a corpse, that's just, it's nasty to hear that. I do want to give condolences to Kada Scott's family. I hope that they have some peace now, at least with this man being arrested for this. And again, this is just on the alleged tip, because again, they don't know if he really did do this or not. They got to go through the whole court process and all of that. But I hope that they at least do find some peace now of an arrest. Hopefully it's the right arrest. And let this thing go through the court process. That's the only thing I can say about this. When more information comes about it, I'll bring it back to this broadcast, and hopefully there will be more. Because again, I did not know anything about this. I don't remember no big news station talking about this, but this is the reason why you should look at your local news. And while this is local, sometimes your local news does need to be reported on a national base, because not to say nothing wrong here, but Miss Kada Scott was a nice, attractive looking woman. And for her to not be featured on national television is crazy. Some of these chicks don't be looking as great as Miss Scott. And again, I don't want to say that to badmouth any people that got taken out in a nasty way. Some of them don't be looking as pretty as her, and they be getting the news coverage. Kada Scott, she was pretty. She was a pretty young girl. And for her to meet her demise this way is just nasty business. And I just wish that it was on a national news story. I just wish that it was. And I'm hoping now with, again, the arrest of Mr. King, it will become a national news story. And we'll get more information about this, hopefully nationally, instead of just being local. So, again, that's one news story that I want to let people know about. Another news story, CBS would write up about it. They would say, former Maryland Sheriff's deputy pleads guilty to using law enforcement databases for personal searches. A former Cecil County Sheriff's deputy pleaded guilty Wednesday to misconduct in office and unauthorized computer access after prosecutors said he used confidential databases to find personal information on his wife and romantic partners. According to the state prosecution's office, former deputy Dante Odom, 35, pleaded guilty to 4 counts of misconduct in office and 3 counts of unauthorized computer use. He was initially charged with 28 counts of misconduct and 16 counts of unauthorized computer access. That's a lot, bro. Odom began working at the sheriff's office in 2019, during which time he had access to law enforcement databases, according to Howard's office. Court documents show that Odom admitted to using the databases to find information about 7 different people, including his wife, romantic partners, relatives of his romantic partners, a hotel employee, and a woman who worked in his office building. He used the Maryland Dashboard and National Criminal Information Center to access details about the alleged victims, according to court documents. According to prosecutors, users are told they cannot use the databases for personal use. Duh. If you're an officer, you're not supposed to use your databases for personal use. You're only supposed to use it for whatever you're doing it for, whatever case you're working on or whatever. But we all know they're going to be used for personal things. Homeboy just got tripped up, and it is what it is. Between February 2024 and November 2024, Odom used the databases several times, including for repeated searches of his wife, court documents show. None of the searches were related to legitimate law enforcement responsibilities. Odom admitted that in December 2024, he was ordered by the sheriff's office not to have contact with one of the victims. However, in March 2025, Odom met with the victim and recorded the meeting without her knowledge or consent, according to prosecutors. He is scheduled to be sentenced on November 19th. Okay, so that lets you know everything right there. If you are married to a police officer, just know he has looked you up in, I'm going to say this again, my thought process is that a police officer has, without a shadow of a doubt, looked you up. It doesn't matter who you are. A police officer can look you up in their database. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of police officers that has looked up former classmates of theirs or former people that they did date in the database to see if they ever were arrested or something like that. I don't doubt that at all. So me looking at this article and reading it the first time when I saw this, I thought, yeah, this was a no-brainer. But homeboy just wasn't smart enough to try to delete his server or delete the cookies or anything like that to make sure that it doesn't show that he's done this. Because I guarantee you, there's been plenty of officers on the force that have done this. Plenty of them. They just never ever got caught. But yeah, police officers, they look you up. So just let you all know that, again, if you are wife or husband of an officer, don't do anything stupid, because I guarantee you your partner probably knows about it, because again, your information is in the database. And also, if you are screwing with an officer, just know they're able to look you up too, because again, they're an officer. They have the database at their becking on their laptop or whatever technological device that they do have. So please don't be stupid. All right. And continuing in police databases, or not even databases, but police news. Here's an update on the Sonya Massey case. If you don't remember this, Sonya Massey was the woman that called up police officers. I want to say it was last year, and she made a report saying, I think that she thought she saw something lurking around her yard, and 2 officers came to her home. They saw nothing. They tried to report it to her, tell her inside of her home that they didn't see nothing. And during the conversation, ultimately Sonya Massey ended up dying. Okay. There was a video that came out. 2 officers had the guns up to her. She had pot of water, and one of the officers shot her. And I even said it back then when this thing was reported. I said that officer had no business to do that. This woman wasn't a threat. Essentially, hot water, yes, it might sting you, but you don't have the right to shoot her. And if you wanted to, you probably could have shot her in the leg or shot her in the foot or even tased her, because again, you don't have to do lethal things whenever it's just something not that as bad as a bullet. Hot water is hot water. I'm not going to try to deny it. It will suck for it to hit your skin. It will absolutely suck. It'll cause you some burns. But burns compared to you getting shot and killed, there's a difference. Anywho, the officer that ended up shooting and killing Sonya Massey, Sean Grayson, he has been on trial. I did not know that his trial has started, but it has been. CNN will write about an article about it, and as of right now, they talked about the jury was shown the unedited body camera video of this encounter. They talked about how the jurors had to cover their mouths. Grayson, he looked down for much of the video, and Sonya Massey's mom left the courtroom in tears. His partner that was with him, and I'm trying to get his name right here. Hold on one second. His name was Dawson Farley. Dawson Farley took the stand, and Farley talked about how him and Grayson entered Massey's home. They found no suspicious activity. That's when Grayson noticed the pan on the stove and ordered it to be removed. Farley testified that he drew his weapon after Grayson did because department policy called for a deputy to do so when his partner does. She just never did or said anything that would make me think she was a threat. Farley said, looking across the room and seeing my partner draw his gun, it was the defendant's actions that made me have a heightened sense of unawareness. Farley acknowledged that his initial report days after the shooting claimed he feared for his safety from the hot water, and that Massey held the pot close, chest high. Farley said that after Grayson was indicted, he sought to change or amend his statement to the Illinois State Police to clarify that it was Grayson's response, not the hot water, that rattled him, and that it was an oven mitt, not the pot, that Massey held chest high. At the time, Farley was serving a 1-year probationary period and subject to firing for any reason. He said his union representative advised against further state police contact. So ultimately, he ended up correcting it and basically throwing Grayson under the bus, which is going to be the case. Because again, Grayson was the one that shot Sonya Massey. And again, if you look at that video, Sonya Massey was she wasn't in the right frame of mind. Because again, she's lucid with them, she's talking with them, and then again, she breaks out the verbiage. It was biblical, not really biblical, but it was more in the church saying. And I believe it was, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I believe it's something along those lines. It was a rebuke for certainty. But again, Grayson was the officer that ended up shooting Miss Sonya Massey and taking her life, which again, nasty work, nasty business. And again, if you're going to have your gun out, first of all, you shouldn't have the gun out in a situation like this where she's, again, one point really lucid, talking with you guys calmly, and then next thing you know, on a switch, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. That's whenever, okay, you should have realized, okay, something's not right here. And then if she picked up the hot pot of water, guess what you do? You just pick up your taser gun and just have it and pose it right next to her. That's all you do. You don't pick out the piece that has a bullet that can end someone's life. That is the dumbest thing ever. Dumb, but hey, he's on trial for right now, and that's what's going on. They would say that he pleaded not guilty, but if he is convicted of the murder, he does face 45 years to life in prison. So that's what Grayson is facing. And again, I did not know this was going on right now. I didn't know, but I am so happy to be informed by this, and I hope to relay the message out to everyone that's listening here about it too. So yeah, that's happening right now as well. The last thing that I do want to talk about is the NBA. Now, the NBA had their opening season this week. And first and foremost, before I get into the whole debacle with gambling, FBI, all that stuff that's happening with the NBA, seeing the First Take guys, Chuck, Kenny, Shaq, Ernie on ESPN, first and foremost, it was great to see those guys back. I remember earlier in the year when it was talked about how they'll be moving from TNT to ESPN. Chuck wasn't really too happy about it. Ernie and the rest of the guys were like real skeptic about how this thing was going to work. A lot of people were skeptic about how the First Take guys were going to be on, well, no, Inside the NBA guys. Those guys would be on ESPN. But from the clips that I saw on YouTube, it seemed that they are taking right up to where they were from being on Turner, TNT, TBS over to ESPN. It seems like they haven't lost a step. It seems that ESPN is allowing them just to say, hey, you guys do your thing. And hey, we just wanted you guys over here. Go ahead, have a blast. And it was good to see that they kept their exact same chemistry. It was great for that. And it was also great to see them kind of like poke and prod Chuck as well. Because, Charles Barkley, Chuck, they poked at him because Charles talked about, again, when the deal happened, he wasn't too thrilled on going to ESPN. He was worried about being on ESPN programming everywhere, people messing with the formula, all that. And when he got on that desk and he started talking about being on ESPN, he talked about how great it is to be on ESPN. He's talked about how every athlete wants to be on ESPN because ESPN is the mecca, the sporting hub. And you got Kenny asked Chuck, does he want a napkin for all the butt kissing that he's doing right now? And even before that, they played a video of, again, Charles talking about not being worked like a slave, like Stephen A. for ESPN. And again, they were just flaming Chuck for that a little bit, all in good fun. So I was happy to see the Inside the NBA guys have a little fun with that. But then it was hit on Thursday that the NBA, or more specifically, certain players and coach, has been named in a federal investigation that has gambling and high-tech scamming of poker. Chauncey Billups has been named in this. He is a Hall of Famer and the Portland Trailblazers head coach. And you have a NBA player and the Heat guard, Terry Rozier. He has been named in this organized crime situation here. What to say about this? Right now, I don't know really much to say. I just know this. Anytime that I've seen NBA players talk about this, or podcasters in general talk about this whole organization or this case that's happening right now, because they're saying that this federal investigation is into internal gambling, high-tech scam poker. They mentioned how, you know how what you do, the gambling or betting on some people, you, in the process of that, are able to see whether someone's going to play or not. And they're trying to say that there was some insider talks of letting people know that, hey, this person isn't going to be playing, so they can bet that this person isn't playing, bet that this person isn't playing for these mini games or whatever the case may be. People is all in this freaking whole investigation. They said that this investigation has been connected to mafia, crime family, and other situations, but my thing is this. When you have betting in any type of sport, best believe the coaches or players are going to be involved in this. Let's just not forget Shohei Ohtani, the guy from the Los Angeles Dodgers. His interpreter just went down for basically sports betting. And you'll have people that will say that his interpreter is taking the downfall for Ohtani, because people are thinking that Ohtani himself was betting on some of the games. But again, that's just conspiracy theory. What we have on paper and legal is that his interpreter went down for it. So it is what it is. But when you have betting in sports, you got to know some of the players and some of the coaches will be partaking in the betting. Even though they make millions of dollars. What's millions of dollars compared to getting more money? You got billionaires that are still working, and you can say they got billions of dollars. Yeah, but they want to constantly make more money. And if you're an NBA player or a coach and you can fudge the game to help you make more money on top of the money that you're already making, you're going to do it. We've seen it. As I said, Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. We've seen it with Pete Rose. We've seen it with other, NBA players as well. Sports betting is going to constantly be around. So I don't know what's the whole hubbub about this, to be completely honest. I think what the big hubbub about it is that you got the mafia technically associated with this thing. And again, for me, when you hear about this thing, and again, a lot of NBA players that have podcasts, they've talked about this thing. You can get more in depth with them because it is what it is. My whole deal is that you put the faces of this investigation on the NBA player's face. Chauncey Billups, again, coach, Hall of Famer, NBA player. You got him kind of being the poster boy for it. You got NBA player Terry Rozier being the poster boy for this thing. You don't have no mafia family faces as the poster boys for this thing. You only have the NBA players for it. And I mean, I understand why you would do it because it's the NBA. NBA is predominantly black athletes, so you want to have their faces connected to this thing. But no, let's be real. I feel that this thing is more getting at NBA players because of the mafia family in it. And you don't want to put the mafia family faces on it because of their more than likely handshake agreement with certain people behind the scenes in politics and everything. And that's the reason why you haven't seen their faces posted up and you only seen the faces of Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. That's the only reason why I think that they are up there. And again, I'm not the only person saying it. A lot of other podcasters are saying it as well. They would like to see some mafia families' faces, their names be put up there with Billups and Rozier if you're going to do that. Don't just make those two the poster boy. Nope. If you're going to show faces and show names, do it to the people that you have under lock and key in your investigation. Not just those two. But yeah, sports betting, sports gambling is always going to be a part of sports. And I understand that coaches and the players aren't supposed to do it, but it's going to happen. It's going to continuously happen. And yeah, man, that's just where we're at with sports gambling. And again, that's just one part of it. Again, they talk about rigged poker games. Hey, do your business, do what you do. I don't ever think, you know what? I'm just going to put it like this. I don't think that you should be complaining whenever you're in a rigged poker game or rigged blackjack game or rigged anything type of game. Because if you're in a position where you're playing against someone and you're betting something, best believe not everything's always going to be fair. Not everything's going to be on the up and up. 50-50, you know what I mean? Casinos are not fair 50-50 on the up and up. They're not. They got their own systems in play to kind of like set a trap for you guys going in there to place money and make bets and all that crap, and before they pull the rug from underneath you, draining you dry. Sometimes it works quicker, sometimes it takes some time. But casinos, they do the exact same thing. So I don't think people should be betting on things unless they are without 100% doubt, knowing that they can win. But if you're not 100%, even if you're 99, that 1% can pop you and it will drain you dry. Do not bet on anything unless you're 100% certain of it. That's the only thing I can say to anybody out there. So again, more information is going to come about this investigation with the NBA, and whenever more prominent information comes out, I'll bring it back to you guys here and tell you and talk to you about it. Now, with that, I believe I went over my time limit because I only do an hour on this broadcast usually, but I went over. It's now time for me to bid you guys adieu and get you guys out of here. So with that, I would like to thank all the podcasting sites that have me on here: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbeam, Audible, iHeart, Spotify, all these other podcasting sites, because without them, I wouldn't be able to get this podcast out to you guys, to downloaders and listeners. So I'd like to thank these companies first and foremost, but not so far behind. I would like to thank you guys, the downloaders and listeners, because without you guys, I wouldn't be able to see where this podcast is, well, basically listened from. There's people outside of the United States, people within the United States that listen to this podcast, and I would like to thank you guys for doing so, because you guys could be listening to anything in the world, but you decided to listen to me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it so much, and again, I appreciate it. So with that said, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
That is not a gimmick. I truly do love and appreciate every single one of you guys. I just want everyone to, once again, have a great day. I want everyone to not be a dick. Be courteous to everyone that you do come across this week, and just try to be better than what you were day before, weeks before, months before prior, okay? So, with that being said, this has been your My 2 Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. He is I and I am him. This isn't goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. And with that, Kanye, could you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.